All right. Well, welcome everyone to our Momentum Multifamily virtual networking event featuring Rod Khleif. He's going to do a 2021 goal setting workshop. My name's Hayden.
Well, no, not really. No, not really. but it'll still be good. Trust me.
Cool. Awesome. Well, cool. We're excited to have you here. I'm
you.
going to turn it over to my co-host, Dustin, let him do a quick intro for you guys.
Yeah, Dustin Miles, excited to see everyone on, and always excited to hear Rod. I think every time I hear you speak, I'm taking copious notes, and so anyways, good to see you, man, and let you take
Thank you. All right, sounds good. Sorry about the delay, guys. I can't even spell the word technology, and of course, Dustin's got this cool new setup, and I'm used to Zoom or Skype or some of the old stuff. So forgive me for being late. I was a little frantic, but let me start by sharing a little bit of my story. So because it'll lend credence to what I want to speak about with you guys today. So I immigrated this country when I was 6 years old from Holland. I was born in the Netherlands, and came with my brother Albert, my mother's Vansha. We ended up in Denver, Colorado, where I lived for 30 years. And, we really struggled growing up. In fact, I wore clothes in the Goodwill all the way through junior high school till I could get a job. I lied about my age at Burger King when I was 14 because I was tall, and I got a job so I could buy clothes. Maybe some of you on the call here have had it harder than I did or have it harder now, but see, I knew I wanted more. And luckily my mom had an incredible work ethic, and she babysit kids so we'd have enough money to eat. And with her babysitting money, she's a bit of an entrepreneur, and she invested in the stock market, actually made money. And I say made money because I lost money in the stock market, but then she actually bought the house across the street from us when I was 14. And then when I was 17, she told me it had gone up 20,000 in value. And I'm like, what? I'm not going to college, Mom. I'm getting into real estate. So I got my real estate broker's license, which you could do back then with education. They got smart. Now you need some experience, but I was a broker, not just an agent right when I turned 18, and I was going to be rich, doing real estate. Well, my first year in real estate, I made about $8,000. My second year, maybe $10,000. But my third year, I made over $100,000. And so what happened between year 2 and year 3? What happened was I met somebody that taught me about mindset and psychology. And since then, I've spent probably 20 years following Tony Robbins around the planet, who's the best in the world at that. And so, that's how I was able to 10x my income. Fast forward to today, I've owned a couple thousand houses that I rented long-term. I've, thousands of apartment units. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. But there's a punchline. And of course, when that happened, I thought I was a real estate god. And, when that happens, God or the universe will give you a nice little smackdown. Well, that was 2008. I lost $50 million in 2008. And so, one of the things that I enjoy talking about is the mindset and the strategies it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place, and the mindset it took to get back to the success that I'm blessed to have today. And so that's what I'd like to share with you guys. And one of those things is absolutely goal setting. You must do goal setting, okay? And because how are you ever going to get what you want if you don't know what the heck it is, right? So if you haven't done your goals for this year, and I would actually encourage you to go to my Facebook page, my Rod Khleif official page, and I actually did a whole goal setting workshop on January 2nd. You'll have to scroll down the feed to get to it, but it's about an hour and 15, 20 minutes. I have a goal setting guide that you use, and with music and everything. It's a really powerful exercise because, you have to know what it is you want or you'll never get it. And so it starts with goal setting. And what I'd like to do this time, instead of doing like a goal setting workshop, by the way, if you want to do that, if you don't want to do my Facebook thing, I've got a boot camp coming up. And that's one of the first things we do there is for the first hour, we do goals because, so many people think it's the real estate knowledge or, the technical knowledge, but that's like 20% of it or 10% of it. The bottom line is the people that are successful do it because they have the right mindset. They take massive action because they're motivated. Like Napoleon Hill calls in Think and Grow Rich, you got to have a burning desire. You have to really want it. So you have to know what it is you want, and as importantly, why you want it. Very, very important. So, so what I want to do, so leaving that to the side, you need to do your goals. You need to know why those goals are a must. Again, I can help you through that on my Facebook page, or if you want to come to my boot camp, I'll give you guys a really good deal if you're interested. It's coming up February 20th and 21st. I don't sell anything there. It's 2 full days of training, and I'll give you a code so you can come for $97 if you're interested. If you're serious about this multifamily business, kind of a no-brainer, because it's $97 and I don't sell anything there. But that said, we'll do goals there as well. So if you haven't done them, you can do them there. But you've got to have that burning desire. I'll tell you, when I first got into real estate, I dated a girl. Her name was Kim, and I worked for her dad, Gino. He was a broker, and they had a 3-car garage. They had snowmobiles, Corvettes, Lincoln Continentals. I mean, I'd never seen any of this stuff. Pool in their backyard. I'd never seen any of that stuff, and I decided that I wanted that, and that decision is really important as well. The Latin root for the word decision means to cut off. If you're going to take the island in battle, you're going to burn the ships because you're taking their ships home. So you've got to want it, and that's how you push through fear. That's how you push through limiting beliefs. That's how maybe you're comfortable, and the comfort zone is a warm place, but nothing freaking grows there, right? So you have to know what it is you want and get that burning desire. And I'm going to tell you, if you've got an average ability, but you've got burning desire, success is inevitable, okay? Because the burning desire is that big a deal. When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, it's going to happen. So anyway, once you've got your goals, by the way, make sure you get pictures of them and put them around you. Very, very important. You can see, you can't see it. Maybe you can. A little edge of my vision board right there next to my recliner. I'll sit there and visualize the things that I want. Why? Because it works. Okay. And the more you can experience the things that you want, the better as well. Like I told you about the guy had Corvettes and he let me drive one. And that's a big piece. If you want something, go drive the car, go to open houses for the house. Go, experience it as much as you can. I'll tell you, back in February of last year, when the world was still normal, for Valentine's Day, I took my wife to Miami. We stayed at a really nice hotel, and we went to the yacht show, and I spent way too much money. I spent a couple $100,000 on stupid shit like watches and a boat and jet skis, and wish I had it back now because everything collapsed about a month later. But, but anyway, bottom line is I BS'd my way onto these big 100-foot yachts because I took Tiffy, my wife, to the Amalfi Coast, and they've got all these yachts there in Italy. It's just spectacular. I'm like, baby, we're going to do that. I want to rent or own a yacht. We're going to go around the Horn of Italy, Greece, Croatia, Spain. We're going to do all that. So we're at this yacht show, and I BS my way on these yachts, and I visualized myself owning the yacht. I sat in the captain's chair. I walked around like I owned it. And, I'm probably losing some of you analytical ones, but I'm here to tell you this is how you get the stuff, okay? This is, again, how I had $50 million to lose, and how we bought over 2,000 doors in the last 18, 19 months. So, this stuff works. Okay. So please don't poo-poo this. I know you're here for real estate knowledge. I'm going to tell you this is more important because this gets you to take action. Like I say, the comfort zone's a warm place, but nothing freaking grows there. Okay. So you got to get uncomfortable. You got to push yourself. So again, once you make a decision, it's 100% commitment. That's the next thing I want to talk about. You have to be committed. You cannot just be interested. Okay. If you're just interested, you'll get knocked off track. If you're committed, you're like a train on a track. Okay. If you're committed, that's what's going to equal massive action, and massive action is the key to success. Okay. So motivation will get you started. Commitment will bring you home. All right. And again, this is not a 1 foot in, 1 foot out sort of a thing. This is, it's done. Okay, you're either all in or you're all out. Okay, it's when you have total commitment, success is inevitable. And again, it's not 99%, it's 100%. Now, this also applies to ownership and responsibility. You've got to have 100% ownership for your life, 100% responsibility for your life. You own every piece of your life. Okay, that's critical. It's not your dog, your cat, your husband or wife. It's you. You own it, and you're responsible for that success. I've got a couple of successisms from Grant Cardone on my wall up here. You can see, I am success, comfort kills, focus, grind now, play later. I'm a business genius. By the way, anything you put the words I am in front of is an identity statement. And there's no greater force in human psyche than the need to remain consistent with how we identify ourselves. So, I love these I am statements. Again, I've got pictures of my goals in my planner. I've got the vision boards behind me because this stuff works, guys. Okay, the next thing is you must have positive expectation. and be optimistic. Okay. And it's so easy to get sucked into the negative right now. We'll talk about that a little more in a minute, but it's so easy to focus on pain and struggle. In fact, that's how most people connect. If Dustin came up to me and I saw him at an event or something, he said, "Hey Rod, how you doing?" I said, "Dustin, I'm freaking fantastic. Life is amazing. Everything's so wonderful right now." He'd step back and say, "Okay, Rod's off his meds." But if I said, "Oh man, my back's freaking killing me. It's been so rough," he'd put his arm around me. "Oh, I feel you, brother." We connect through pain. Isn't that the craziest thing? But you've really got to focus on what you want, not what you don't want, because what you expect is what you get. If you expect to win, you're going to win. If you expect to lose, you're going to lose. And don't minimize your expectations or operate from fear or limiting beliefs. You decide what you want, you declare it, and God or the universe, whatever you believe, will conspire to help you make it happen. You expect amazing things, you're going to get amazing things. That's how the world works, okay? And you want to focus on being positive and optimistic. And I would also tell you to remove negativity. It's so easy right now to get sucked into negativity with the news. I mean, don't get me started on the politics and everything else. It's so easy to get sucked into that. And it's just so important to realize that the news isn't there to inform us. It's there to startle us and scare us, right? And so just stand guard at the door to your mind. Bring in the good stuff. My podcast, I do these clips called Own Your Power, because we just broke 10 million downloads. So, they're very well received. But even if you're, if you're not interested in the interviews that I do with multifamily people, I've had Dustin on the show. Even if you're not interested in that, they'll juice you. They're about 5 minutes once a week. And I talk about every motivational, goal setting, fear, responsibility, every topic you can think of there. So, but bring in the good stuff. I mean, if you don't listen to me, go on YouTube and pull up some motivational stuff there, but really stand guard at the door to your mind and keep the bad stuff out. It's so important right now. The next thing I want to mention, when I talk about positive expectation, let me give you an example of this. Not the greatest example. I need to think of another one, but I'm a wide guy. Okay. And, I go to lots of boot camps. I've got this picture of me with literally hundreds of lanyards hanging on my arm, around my neck. I think it's about 200, because that's my education. I never went to college, but I did tons of boot camps. Well, if I go to a boot camp, I need to be on the end of the row, because I'm wide, okay? So I need to pull the chairs apart so I can move into the row a little bit. Otherwise, I'm miserable. Well, I went late to this boot camp. I don't remember what it was anymore, and there were just seats in the middle. So I sat in the middle of this row, and I was already miserable. And then there was the last seat remaining, and this giant woman, I see her coming down the aisle, knocking over drinks, and I'm like, oh, good God. And then I realized, hey, it's not just what you say. Don't, practice what you preach. So I'm like, you know what? It's going to be a great freaking day. So I went I put my arms out. I like, here's your seat, sweetheart. She sat down. She was a beautiful human being, and she was conscious of it, and she was accommodating, and it was just a beautiful day because I had positive expectation. Again, not the greatest example, but again, what you expect is what you get. Okay, so important. The other thing I want to mention is you choose the meaning you place on something. And two people can have the exact same thing happen and place entirely different meanings on it. So, like I'll tell you, when I lost $50 million, for a couple of months, it was my story. Yeah, hey, I lost, I was bragging almost about it, miserable about it. And then I placed a different meaning, and the meaning was I would have never met my wife if it hadn't happened, and I'd give it all up again for her. So, life is about meaning, and you can change the meaning of something that happens to you and make it empowering or positive instead of letting it destroy or hold you back. So very, very important. And the next thing I want to talk about is fear and limiting beliefs. So, like all kids, well, maybe a little different than all kids, but when I immigrated to this country, I was 6 years old. I didn't speak English. I didn't have much of a father figure, so I didn't know how to protect myself or fight back. And I've discovered what bullies were for the first time. And my mom, the proud Dutch woman that she is, thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in wooden shoes for show and tell, and those leather shorts that the Germans wear for Oktoberfest, lederhosen they're called. And I got my butt kicked again. And then they chased me home and kicked my butt, and my mom had chased them off with a fly swatter. So the next day I got my butt kicked again. And then I had this situation on a playground where I had, when I was like 9, had a crush on a girl, and she came up to me and embarrassed me in front of a bunch of other kids. We've all had this stuff happen. but it caused me to think that I wasn't good enough. In fact, I used to ask myself the question, how can I show them I'm good enough? And a lot of people have these negative belief systems that, have really no basis in fact. We had something emotional happen to us when we were young, and we think it was factual, but it's not. And so, things like I'm not old enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't have enough money. There's a reason that the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99% of them are. But here's what's important. If and you may not have one of these, but if you do and you're conscious of it, when it pops up, drag it out into the daylight and look at it through your adult rational mind and look at it, and you recognize that it's BS, okay? Like mine wasn't, I'm not good enough. When I came to when I pulled it out in the daylight, I realized anybody that would reject me either doesn't know me or they've got their own BS going on, because I've got a beautiful heart and I'm a giver and so on and so forth. But I had to do that consciously. So when this stuff pops up, think about it consciously. And if you do, it'll diminish and ultimately go away. Trust me on that, okay? All right, the next thing is you've got to take that first step, okay? Like Dr. Martin Luther King said, take that first step in faith and the next step will be revealed. You don't have to see the whole staircase, guys. And it's the same thing in this multifamily business. I've got students that think, that don't get started because they feel like they have to know everything. No, you don't. You have to know that it's been done before and get out of analysis paralysis and just go make it happen. Lao Tzu said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You can drive all the way across the United States at night, car seeing, 50 feet in front of you, and you'll make it. You may have obstacles, you may have things come up, but you can make it all the way across the country that way. And it's the same way with your goals, guys. It's the same way with this multifamily business. So you don't have to know everything before you get started. You just have to take action, okay? And, in this business, it's like the law of the first deal. My students now are approaching 40,000 doors owned, which is amazing to me because I've only been doing this 3.5 years. But I see it every time and time again. That first deal, it takes 8 months. It takes a year and pain and fear and stress, and it takes the longest. It's the hardest. And after that, they're like freaking dominoes. The next thing you know, they've got 6 deals. And I'm like, what happened here? And it's that getting past that first deal, but you've got to take that first step. No regrets, my friends. We do not want regret. Let me tell you something. If you fear failure, fear regret a lot more. Okay, there's this nurse in Australia named Bronnie Ware. She's a hospice nurse. And, she helped people when they were dying, transition out of this life. And she asked them a question. And the question was, do you have any regrets? And, and she wrote a book about it. It's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. Anyway, you know what the number one regret was, guys? It was not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I was capable of. Guys, let me tell you that frankly sucks, excuse the expression, but I would rather fear failure or not fear failure than fear regret, because to me that's a sad story. Now I'm going to tell you that we'll talk about failure in a minute, but before we do, I want to talk about focus, especially right now. Now, if you're watching this, you're watching Dustin, you're in this group, you're a leader, okay? And again, where focus goes, energy flows. Whatever you focus on is going to get bigger. So this ties right into, standing guard at the door to your mind. You want to focus on the good stuff. Bring in the good stuff. And focus is power. Okay, focus is clarity. And like, for example, I'll have people call me and say, "Man, I don't know what to do to get out of student loan debt." I'm like, wrong question. Okay. What do you do to make money so the student loan debt's irrelevant? Okay, that's the right question. They asked Mother Teresa if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace. Okay, it's just semantics, but it's a very powerful difference. I remember back in the day, gosh, this is 35 years ago, I had, I've got the shiny penny syndrome. I've started 24 businesses. Several have been worth tens of millions of dollars. Most have been spectacular flaming, I don't call them failures, I call them seminars, spectacular flaming seminars. But back then I had frozen yogurt shops. I had 2 of those. I had vending carts selling ice cream downtown. I had, this was in Denver, I had a carpet cleaning business. I was doing real estate, and everything suffered because my focus was diluted. Okay. And you'll notice if you see me speaking, I'm almost always in a black V-neck t-shirt. In fact, they did my 60th birthday party last year and everybody was in black V-neck t-shirts. But anyway, it's because I don't want to make to minimize my decisions. I want to minimize decision fatigue. I don't know about you, but in this case, it's the pot calling the kettle. I don't know if you're one of these people like me that'll sit and watch a movie and you're scrolling on social media. Yeah. And what that does is it greatly hurts your ability to focus, because you're making these micro decisions, at every split second. And I will tell you, some of the most, in fact, let me give you an example. Some of the most successful people on the planet are the ones that have the most enhanced focus. I get excited because my podcast at 10 million downloads. Well, I listen to a podcast by a guy named Tim Ferriss. I don't know if you've heard of him. Now, what he does is he deconstructs the best of the best in every walk of life. He's had the best actors, Schwarzenegger, Jamie Foxx, Ed Norton. He's had billionaires like Ray Dalio, the CEOs, athletes, the best in the world on every walk of life. And what he does is he deconstructs how they got there. And I started to hear a pattern. And I'm like, holy cow, they all meditate. Guys, that's a freaking clue, okay? Because meditation enhances what? Focus, right? And there's lots of meditation apps. I use one, I'll show it to you. I use one that I really like. It allows me to take naps back there on that chair as well. It's called Pizziz. And you can just go and you go on and you put like nap, and you can set your, you can't see it now. You set your time on there, and it literally, I've gone back there and done a 10-minute nap. I fall asleep for about a minute and I'm completely refreshed, but it also has meditation. So guys, really important that you enhance and work on your focus. It's so freaking important. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about, especially in this multifamily business, is that you play to your strengths. Why? Because this is a team sport. This is not something you're going to do on your own. Very, very, in fact, I don't know maybe one person I know that's got a lot of units that did it on his own, but I'm imagining he has a team as well. Everybody does this in a team. Okay. In fact, the most common teams I see are somebody that's analytical with someone that's outgoing. I mean, that's my situation. And I see that all the time. It's, and both people are playing to their strengths. Do not try to enhance or build your weaknesses. Yes, you need to understand the different pieces, but if in this multifamily business, if you play to your strengths and you hire, align, or partner for your weaknesses, success is inevitable. Now, your strengths are your greatest assets, guys, okay? And you're going to get successful much faster if you play to your strengths, because it's something that you love to do. And when you're doing what you love, success is inevitable, right? So how do you find out what your strengths and weaknesses are? You could do a personality profile, like a DISC profile, D-I-S-C, or Myers-Briggs, or ask a friend. A friend will certainly tell you what your weaknesses are. But guys, don't live someone else's life doing something that you don't freaking love. In fact, let me add to this, okay? If you don't love this multifamily game, now, first thing I would tell you, try to associate pleasure with it, like maybe equate it to hunting for buried treasure, because you can associate pleasure to things you don't like right now, even working out and stuff like that, and you can learn to love them. But if you can't, if you don't get there, for God's sakes, go do something else. Life is too freaking short, seriously, okay? The next thing is if you're playing to your strengths, you're going to be passionate. And guys, because this is a team sport, you're going to need to influence other people. And the only way you're going to influence them is if you're passionate about this, right? Okay, so because if you're loving what you're doing, you're going to be inspired and you're going to be passionate, and they're going to feel that, right? And you want to operate from passion. That's why, again, if you can't learn to love this, please go do something else, because your passion equates to your ability to influence. The passion is the fuel. The work is effortless if you love it and you're doing what you're passionate about, right? And so don't settle. Don't play small. Discover what juices you. I hope it's real estate. I hope if it's multifamily, you'll come spend a couple days with me. Like I said, it's $97 and I'm not selling anything for 16 to 18 hours of training. It truly is a duh. But by the way, let me just tell you how to get a ticket if you're interested. The website is multifamily. I don't know if you guys can put it in the chat, Dustin. It's multifamilyvirtualbootcamp.com. And if you use the code RODFRIEND, you can come for $97. Or you could text the word multifamily to 72345 and you get there that way. But don't forget the code RODFRIEND. But anyway, discover what juices you, inspires you, and do that. Your passion breeds creativity, breeds innovation. It minimizes or even eliminates fear. So again, you want to be operating in what you love or learn to love, because that's what life's about. I freaking love what it is that I do. I work Sundays. I've got, hundreds of thank you cards behind me on the wall here. You can see from people whose lives have been impacted. It's my greatest joy. I literally get, and this is not bragging, please. This is just, I'm telling you, when you're doing what you love, how powerful it is. I get love every single day. I get DMs, emails, gifts in the mail. I just got a Yeti cup for coffee. I mean, I get literally daily, I get something, letters, cards, and it's a beautiful thing. And so, learn to love this, and I'm telling you, life will never be the same again. So the next thing I want to talk about is the power of your peer group. Now, you guys have heard this stuff before, but I want to hammer this home, because who you hang out truly is who you become. You are definitely the sum of the people you hang out with. Your happiness, your health, and of course your finances. And so many people default to the people they work with, or they default to the people they went to school with, or the people that live near them. Big mistake. You want to be around people that think what you think is hard is easy. You want to be around people like in this group, I'm sure, that are doing what they can to build the life of their dreams, that are going to hold you accountable. A rising tide lifts all ships, my friends. You want people that are going to encourage you, motivate you, push you, hold you accountable. That's what you want to be around. Again, people that think what you think is hard is easy. Now, I set up a multifamily mastermind. It's now the largest in the world. We're about $12 billion in assets, but it started here in my compound, in my house here in Florida. I had 16 people that were $1 billion in assets, because I want to be around people that thought that I thought was hard was easy. And it was incredible. And that's turned into this incredible mastermind. And I encourage you to create one of your own, or just get really ingrained in this group to connect with people, because this is definitely a team sport. And you want to be around people that, like if you're going to play tennis, do you want somebody that's better than you or worse than you? If you play somebody that's worse than you, are you going to get better? No. You want to be, again, around people that are killing it in this business. Now, next thing I want to talk about is the habits that you have for success. You have good habits, and you can have habits that help you and habits that hurt you. Really easy to figure that out with, like, your health, for example. Like, I've got my candy here on the table that I shouldn't be eating, and these are the bad habits, okay? But I did exercise today, and I worked out, and I drink a lot of water, and but guys, it's so important that you pay attention to these habits, okay? Because your habits will make you or break you. Success habits could be focusing on and having clarity with your goals daily, focusing on results instead of busy work, taking massive freaking action, being relationship and team driven, staying healthy, not for healthy, but just for the massive energy that this is going to take. Because if you've got a W-2 or a business and you've got kids, and, it's going to take a lot of energy to build this side hustle in the multifamily business. You're going to have early mornings, late nights, Saturdays, weekends, all of that. It takes, and another success habit would be incredible discipline. So pay attention to your habits and be conscious of them, because a lot of people are in a trance and they never get anywhere when they are. The next thing I want to talk about is you can't give up. You've got to have tenacity, persistence, grit, determination. I will tell you, when I lost everything in 2008, I built this litigation support company, okay? And we helped thousands of families save their homes. It was a great business. It was in 5 states. I didn't like it, but it was a great business. But we almost went bankrupt in 2010. And I reinvented myself. And by the way, maybe you're watching right now with this COVID, you need to reinvent or innovate to change your approach with something. And I had to, like I was supposed to have 800 people in Orlando at a live event in May. And I'm like, holy shit, what are we going to do? And so if you go to when you go to Multifamily Virtual Bootcamp, you'll see me recording the video for that website. I haven't changed it. I should, I suppose, with my phone. Okay. And we had, 900 people come on live stream, and I've had thousands of people now do my live stream events. And by the way, I've never had a complaint with thousands of people. That's a lie. They complain because the breaks are too short. A couple people have complained. I do 15-minute breaks because I'm trying to pack so much stuff in. But that's the only complaint I've ever gotten. I mean, it is drinking through a fire hose. On Saturday night, I'll have about, probably 4 or 5 billion represented by the panelists that I'll have on stage. And it's incredible. It's a lot of fun. If you guys can make it, I think you'll really be glad you did. But you can't give up, okay? There's even a book about this called 3 Feet from the Gold, a true story about a miner that gave up and someone went behind him and found this vein of gold. So you've got to keep your eye on the goal. And I'm going to tell you, normal talent plus extraordinary tenacity equals massive success every time. This is courage, it's resolve, it's strength of character, it's strength of will, bravery, backbone, fortitude. It's never, ever, ever giving up. In fact, I've got that sign on my desk here. Never, ever give up. Winston Churchill. Okay, you just can't. Okay, very, very important. And it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, guys. This business is a marathon. You stay focused on your goals and recognize that every setback or failure is feedback. And I will tell you, you come to my boot camp, the next day afterwards, you're going to get a survey asking you what you thought, what you loved, what you hated. And I mean, I love seeing what I love, but I'm focused on what you didn't love so I can make it better. Okay, ideas for improvement. And that's the only way you can ever improve. If you're not getting your nose bloodied or your butt kicked, you're really not trying. I'm just going to tell you. If you're not having setbacks, you're not trying. You can't fear failure. Like I said, the only failure is if you don't learn or you don't get the lesson. We fail our way to success. I've built 24 businesses. Most have been spectacular flaming seminars. Okay. So, and by the way, if one approach doesn't work, you keep your eye focused on the goal and you change your approach. If that approach doesn't work, you keep your eye focused on the goal and you change your approach, and you rinse and freaking repeat. So what I did with that litigation support company, it turned into a $10 million company with 60 employees because I didn't give up. I reinvented it. And so, I sold it last year. So again, do not fear failure. I met the billionaire owner of Spanx, the women's undergarments, Sarah Blakely, beautiful human being. Billionaire. I'm a freaking gazillionaire. Started with $5,000. Now she's got, again, billions. And she told me that her dad used to ask her and her brother once a week, what have you failed at this week? Is that an awesome question to ask your kids? I wish I'd have known that when my kids were kids, but I love that, not to fear failure. Okay. Again, without problems, we don't change. We don't improve. If you don't have problems, respectfully, you're not trying. Okay, bottom line. All right, I'm going to land the plane here, Justin. I got two little things to talk about here because I'm sorry I was late, guys. Please forgive me. I really had a hell of a time getting in here. So the first one, guys, is gratitude. Gratitude is the most important emotion we have in our lives. In fact, I want to show you something here. I'll show you what I've got these pictures in the back of my planner here, and I've actually got a gratitude vision board back there. But this is my planner. I'm a dinosaur. I use a paper planner. In the back of this thing are pictures I've had for 20 years, okay? These are my gratitude pictures. They're pictures of my kids when they were young. Then I got pictures of the stuff that I wanted, which I all got. The only thing I didn't get, I literally got the houses, the stupid shit like the Lamborghini and the Rolls and the Bentley, all that stupid stuff. Only thing I didn't get yet was the six-pack. Anyway. But but gratitude is so freaking important, guys, because it's how you get what you want. And when every morning I'll do a little visualization exercise in that chair, I'll sit there and I'll just be grateful for my beautiful wife, my kids, my foundation, my students, and I'll just do gratitude. And then I'll do gratitude for the things that I want as if I already have them. Guys, this is how you get this stuff. I know I'm losing some of you analytical ones, but big mistake. This is how it works, guys. Gratitude strengthens our immune system. It makes us stronger when we face adversity. It's impossible to feel fear when you're grateful. Lowers your blood pressure, brings you closer to your spirituality. I did a gratitude journal where every day I wrote in it what I loved about Tiffy, my wife. It's 100 pages every day. And there were days I didn't feel like writing in it. But how do you imagine I showed up to the relationship, focused on what I loved about her? I mean, it was magnificent. And then I gave it to her for her birthday. I highly encourage you to do a gratitude journal. If you come spend the weekend with me at my boot camp, I do a planning process that'll blow your mind. It's how I manage 2 large companies at the same time. And one of those things involves gratitude journaling. But gratitude is how you get what you want in your life. Last thing I want to talk about. I told you about that house on the beach. Maybe I didn't. I built a house on the beach, this $8 million 10,000 square foot testament to my ego, I called it. Beautiful home. I lost it in all the craziness. But I live in a compound now. It's kind of funny. I live in a compound now that I have 6 buildings, giant main house, 2-bedroom guest house. I'm building an awesome video studio in one of the other buildings above my exercise room and theater room and all that stuff. And because God's got a sense of humor, I can see my old house across the bay that I lost. But I built this giant house. I want to share this with you because it's important as it relates to goals. And it's important regarding contribution. I built this giant testament to my ego. It took me 20 years to build this house, okay? I mean, this house is magnificent. Giant waterfall from the 2nd floor balcony into the pool. I had elevator, giant spiral staircase up through the middle of the house. Pool was in magazines. I had trees that bent out over it. And on the second floor, I had these aquariums built around the spiral staircase. It cost me almost $200,000. So it gives you an idea of the house. Well, anyway, 2 months after I moved in, I worked for this thing for 20 years. 2 months after I moved in, I'm floating in the pool. It's changing colors at night. It's got fiber optic lighting. And I own the beach on one side, and I had my boats on the backside. It was called a Gulf to Bay, sliced through an island. And I'm floating in the pool, and I got depressed. And I'm like, what the hell? How could I possibly be depressed? I've just achieved success. By the way, I built this thing to prove to the world I was good enough. Just FYI, I hadn't gotten the memo yet that I didn't have to prove anything. It was to prove to the world that I mattered. It's embarrassing to admit that, but it's the truth of it. So I'm looking up at this thing and I got depressed. I'm like, what the hell? I've just achieved success times 1,000. How could I be depressed? So what I want to share with you is it's so critical that if you're about to achieve a major goal, that you have other goals lined up behind it. Because like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. You got to have a vision for the future, right? And I didn't know what I was going to do next, but there was a bigger thing going on. I had been totally focused on Rod, show the world I matter, show them I'm good enough, and, run over people to get there if I had to. So to get back on my feet, I went and saw Tony Robbins. I went to one of his events and found out that he fed families for the holidays. And I'm like, what a concept. Do something for someone else. Yeah, I had to be 40 to get that memo. It's embarrassing. Well, so I went back and started feeding families, and I'm blessed to say we've now fed 95,000 children over the last 20 years for the holidays. We get big baskets of food. I've done tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies to local kids here. I've done tens of thousands of teddy bears to local police departments for their officers to have in their vehicles when they encounter a child that's been traumatized. Greatest gift ever. See, I had achieved success, but I was unfulfilled. Tony Robbins calls it the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. So let me leave you with one last thing here. We all believe we have to achieve to be happy. I'm going to tell you, if you're giving back in some fashion, you'll be happily achieving. And not only will you be happier, you'll get there faster, okay? Don't do it for that reason, but find something you're passionate about. You don't have to do anything as grandiose as I did. Find something you're passionate about, and maybe it's kids, maybe it's the elderly, maybe it's the environment, maybe it's, animals, whatever it is. Do something small towards that immediately. Don't say, I'll do it when I have money. Do it now, because you're going to get much further faster and you're going to be happier doing it. I'll land the plane here, Dustin. I'll take questions if anybody's got them. I mean, certainly we could talk real estate ad nauseum here, but hopefully that added a little bit of value, guys.
Yeah, you sharing all that insights with us. I know I was writing down notes as fast as I could.
That's kind of you.
But we're going to end this session and go into the tables. So just to kind of explain how this works, anybody that has questions, we're going to break out into these different tables for networking, and they can ask, you can ask Rod whatever's on your mind.
Fantastic. Cool. Sounds fun.
All right. I'll do that, and then we'll go ahead and hop into the virtual table. So just pick a table.
Sounds good.